Gobble, gobble. Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a turkey layout. Isn't that perfect for Thanksgiving, for all your Thanksgiving photos? And this layout is inspired by a quilt block that I found recently. And it was from a company called Block Party Quilt Company. I don't get anything from them if you look them up, but they have some really cute things, and some of their other patterns I've already done, and some will likely show up in the future because they are simple enough that they make a really easy version of a layout for us. So you may see some of their patterns pop up in my quilt series as the seasons change. But today we are making a turkey, and so this is a 2-page layout, 1 turkey, 2 pages. But it should be fun, and I hope that it's one that you'll enjoy. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. All right, so today I am using Grateful Harvest. Grateful Harvest is our newest, the Creative Memories' newest fall collection, and it has 2 different packs. This one is mostly what we're going to use today is the Tone on Tone paper pack, which has these wonderful plaids and kind of a cement mottled kind of pattern on the papers. You can see it right here best probably. And then it has these beautiful golds and oranges and browns and greens. And so we are going to use this today for our Thanksgiving layout. And since I am only doing 2 videos a week, I started my 12 days of holiday layouts before Thanksgiving this year, which means that I get to do a Thanksgiving layout for us, which is super fun, and I'm excited to be able to do that. I have my custom cutting system out. I have 2 of the ovals. These are the smallest oval, and it measures, let me just give you, this measures 3 by 3 7/8, and then the next oval up is 3.5 by 5. And so we're going to use those 2 ovals, and we're going to use the medium-sized circle. And we are going to use, I think, mainly the red and the blue blades today, but I have all 3 of them out just in case. I also have the CM square punch out, which is going to come in handy, but you don't have to have this if you want. You can just use your trimmer. It is just a very much a speed tool, and can come in very handy. And I pulled 2 of my Border Maker cartridges, which you're going to see how I use later. We're not punching a border with these, but I pulled them for the shapes that they make. So we will get into using those a little later. Okay, so I'm just going to set those off to the side and push those off to the side for right now. I have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different papers out here and available. We're probably going to use most of all of them. The brown plaid is going to be our base sheet, and it may feel a little bit busy, but once we put all of the things, the photos and things on it, it will tone down, I promise you. So that's our base sheet. I love the green on the back also, so we could use the green. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards the brown, but you know, we can always flip it over and possibly use the green side. These are going to be the majority of our turkey, and in addition to that, I also have a couple of remnant things. So remnant scraps, a couple of scraps. I'm in my fabric brain today for some reason. Okay, so I have some scraps that are going to help us build our turkey. I have some leaves that we're going to cut and place, And let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to grab my square punch. We're just going to knock a few things out here. So this is a 1 3/4 inch square. And I'm going to punch. I need 12 squares. Okay, so I'm going to just start punching and just count how many I can get. And we'll see how far it goes, okay? The thing about using a punch for this is you want to make sure you're getting the full amount of the punch, but you're conserving your paper. So it does take a little bit of practice, a little bit of attention. And sometimes even when I've done this a lot, and sometimes even with that, I end up with an edge that I shortchanged somewhere along the line. Most of the time I'm okay, but you just have to be patient. Work your way through. Love the colors of this collection. They are definitely beautiful, and the artwork is just gorgeous. We have some brilliant artists that work for Creative Memories, and they do some beautiful papers for us. All right, so that is 12 pieces, and so I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to set this one to the side too, because that's just a scrap. All right, so we're going to use these 12, and if we need some more, we'll cut some more, but for right now, we're just going to use these 12, so I'm going to set those over there. All right, we're done with the square punch, so I'm going to set that over there. Now, you're going to need a pencil, and we're going to need to make a pattern. We're going to have 2 different patterns, though, because the center one will be one size, and then all the rest will be slightly different. So what we need are 2 by 6 pieces. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I'm going to take my yellow. Actually, I can do this with all of my pieces. So I'm going to grab all 3 of my colors, and we're going to cut them in half at 6 inches. Okay, so I'm going to feed this through, put it up against that upper shoulder and measure it out to 6 inches. And then I'm going to cut them all right down the middle, right in half, okay? All right, and this half we're going to just set aside. This half we're going to use. We're going to cut 3 2-inch pieces. Okay, so 1, 2, and this will be 3. All right, and then I'm going to set, now this is a 6 by 6 square, okay? I'm going to keep the yellow one and set the other 2 aside. We're going to continue to cut 3 more 2-inch pieces from our yellow sheet. So you should have 6 yellows, 3 reds, and 3 blues, okay? Now, we're going to need our trimmer back in just a minute, but you can set it to the side for a moment, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and each one of these we're going to have to measure and mark. So just get comfortable because this is going to take a minute. Okay, I'm going to place this on my grid, and I'm going to use my zero centering ruler. I'm going to place my zero centering ruler so that it is, let's see, I'm going to use one of the lines on here so that I can match the line on my mat and make sure this is straight. And then I can measure, and I'm going to measure, let me just double check. I'm going to measure 5/8 of an inch from the top to the bottom. So let's get this a little more in line because I'm sorry I had to get in the way there for a second. Okay, so we want to measure 5/8 of an inch in from each edge and just put a little mark, which is 5/8 of an inch is 1/8 more than a half. Okay, so just for this first one, we're going 5/8 of an inch in from that corner, 5/8 of an inch in from that corner, and we're just putting a little mark. Okay, so 1/8, if you're not quite sure, you have your inch mark, which is the bold line. Then you have another tiny little line that's only about 1/4 of an inch long. That's a 1/16 of an inch. The next line that is more like 1/2 inch high, that is an 1/8 of an inch mark. Then you have another 1/16 mark, and then you have 1/4. Okay, so we want 1/8 of an inch beyond 1/2. So we're going to count. This is 1/4, this is 2/4, and then we go to the next long line that doesn't quite reach the next. I hope you can see what I'm pointing at. But this is the line right here that we're going to. Okay, so we go to the 1/2 mark, which is this line. Then we go one line more, 2 marks more, but one long line more, if that makes sense, to 5/8 of an inch. I think I'm making this more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, so we're going to mark that one at 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to set that one over here on top of our turkey because he's special. The rest of these, we are going to mark and cut them 2 at a time if we can, just to make our lives just a little bit less crazy. We need to mark these at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we need to find our center again. Okay, and then just move slightly to the left so that we can have a little spot to mark on our paper. And then we're going to come in 3/4 of an inch from each corner. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch from each corner. Basically, you want it 1/4 of an inch on either side of center. And that's where you want to mark those. All right. And I'm just going to make little stacks of 2 off here to the side so that I can cut them. I'm not going to cut them in anything more than stacks of 2 because I don't want them to shift when I'm cutting. So it doesn't matter really what number you use to mark your center of your square. You just need to be able to measure 1/4 of an inch on either side of center and mark it. Okay? So however that works best for you. I'm finding that the marking on the yellow or the gold paper is easiest because it's the lightest. The blue might be easy to mark on also, but the red is kind of dark, so a little more difficult to measure and mark. Let's try the blue. And this is not, super critical, but we want them to be all the same size so that they fit our space better. So this is what I have found works. Oh, and I have one lone piece left, and it's red. Doggone it. That's all right. We'll make it work. Make it work. Hopefully I can see that. Okay. Now, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to grab the 3.5 by 5 oval, which is this one right here. And we are going to grab our red blade. I think I need to take all of my oval and circle and all of those patterns to my kitchen and soak them in some nice hot soapy water and scrub them, because our renovations that we did recently have left everything with a nice little film of dust. And so they all look kind of dirty. I'll fix them up. It'll be okay. All right, so leaving your rectangular piece on here, we're going to do our best to center this oval on the end. Get it about 1/8 of an inch from the very end of the paper, because the red blade is going to go about to that spot. Okay, and if you can't judge that, then make yourself maybe a mark on your paper, so you always put it in the same place. And as long as you always put it in the same place, then it's fine. That'll be fine. Okay, we're just going to trim off the edge of these and make them round like that. So we're going to do that for each one. And I don't know if I can cut 2 papers at the same time. Let's try it. Let's see if it's possible. I've never tried to cut more than 1 paper. Well, at least I don't remember trying to use or to cut with more than 1 paper with my CCS system. Let's see if it's even possible. Okay, I'm going to hold it with the pattern and cut with my blade. Look at that, it worked. Yay. Good. That one was a little bit off. You want to try to make it as even as you can, because this is going to be the feather on your turkey. So you want that oval edge to be even. So I think I'm going to try and cut that just one more time and get a little bit better, a little bit closer to even. That was a little better. Make sure you're not trimming off the edge that you measured already. Because, yeah, that would not be cool, would it? How many of you cooked for Thanksgiving? I would love to know some of your family traditions for Thanksgiving? Do you do a potluck? Do you cook everything? Do you cook most everything and ask people to bring a couple of other things? Is it just you? And hopefully it's more than just you. Hopefully you have loved ones that you are sharing this time with. But I understand that not everyone does. So I'm sorry if you don't have someone to spend this time with right now. I would invite you to my house, but we're probably kind of far away from you. I used to just make a turkey when we lived far away from our family, when my husband was active duty in the military. I kind of sat down one day and decided what were the essential elements of a Thanksgiving meal. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the military, the military dining facilities go all out for Thanksgiving. Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. They put on a spread that you would just be so impressed by. I know I was every time. They have all their major cooking competitions right around that same time of year. And so then all of the cooks, all the chefs want to show off their skills. And so they make ice sculptures and they make cakes and they make all kinds of, oops, I didn't arch this one. They make all kinds of fancy things. There's lobster and roast beef and prime rib, and it's really phenomenal, the dining facilities. I did not know that until our first experience was when we lived in Germany, which was our second duty station. And the Thanksgiving that we spent on our own because my husband was deployed, instead of making Thanksgiving dinner, we went to the dining facility. And wow, my kids just had a ball. And then it was hard to justify going to all of the stress of making the meal myself when we could just go to the dining facility. But anyway, okay, so now we're going to take each of our rounded pieces and we're going to trim them to these marks that we measured and made. So this is my center block, my center feather, and this is the one we measured to 5/8 of an inch in from the corner. So I'm going to place one mark here on my cutting area, and the other corner up here, right where the arch stops, is where I'm going to cut to. Okay, so we're going to just trim off these places, and I'm going to go ahead and just flip this over, line it up again. And it is easier to cut if you cut from the flat side rather than cutting from the corner on the arched side. So I'm still going to keep this one separate so that I can make sure I remember that one is the middle piece. All right. But the rest of these, we are going to just go ahead and place that mark, the right-hand side mark on the cutting line, and then the corner on the cutting line, and go ahead and cut. If you're cutting them two at a time, make sure that you're holding them nice and tight so that they are not going to slip around on you. Turn it over and trim again. So another thing that the dining facilities always seem to have were these huge cornucopias, and the cornucopias were always filled with candy, hard candy. And so my kids always looked forward to that too. Kind of a neat tradition. Oh, the other thing that's fun in the military, I don't know if fun is the right word. I thought it was fun. My husband may not have thought it was as fun as I did. On Thanksgiving, for that special meal in the dining facility, the officers serve the meal. So they wear their dress blues and don aprons, and they serve the meal to the families and the other soldiers who are in attendance, the enlisted folks, and anyone else who happens through the door. So kind of cool. A neat tradition. Our traditions have changed through the years of what we do for the meal. We enjoy football, but we're not stalwart football fans. If a football game is on, we don't mind watching it, and we'll cheer. And we used to have, we have had teams that we claimed as our team through the years. Of course, they changed because we moved a lot, but the one we grew up with, we sort of disowned, which for reasons I'm not going to go into right now. But so, football, growing up for me, football was a thing that was always on all day on Thanksgiving Day. My husband's house, not as much, so we sometimes watch football and sometimes we watch movies. We have started recently, thanks to a good friend whose family enjoys this also. I've started buying the holiday Lego sets, and we will sit and put the Lego set together. A new holiday Lego set to go with all the other ones. And we've now got quite a little village going on from all those little sets. So that's kind of fun. That's usually an after we eat kind of thing to do. We usually eat in the afternoon. And then we have plenty of time for more if we're still hungry, but most of the time we are not still hungry. We usually will eat and then we'll wait a little while, and then we will have dessert. And by then we are all good and full and done. All right, this is my last feather. We are just about done with the feathers. Okay. Very good. So we'll leave those there. I'm going to get rid of all these little extra triangles, although they might be fun to try to fit together and do something with, but I don't know. I'm not that good, ladies. Okay, so now I'm going to scoop my feathers. That's my middle one. Okay, I'm going to grab my smallest oval and the blue blade, and we're going to go ahead and cut an oval for his body. Now, I very specifically chose one that I could use the blue blade on, and that was so that I could come back in here and use the same pattern and the red blade or the green blade and trim a photo to go on his body, and then his body will mat that photo just perfectly. So when you use the blue blade for the body, then you have plenty of room to go ahead and put another oval of a smaller size right in there, and it's perfect. All right, so there's his body. He needs a head. That's what the circle is for. And with the circle, we are going to use the blue blade again on the middle of the circle to create his head. Okay, so we're just going to put those prongs right in the groove, and there's his head. Okay, now I'm going to come in here and we're going to do some fanciness. Okay, so I'm going to grab my border maker cartridge holder. I don't need the paper holder, I just need the holder. And I'm going to grab my lamplight punch. All right. And I'm going to grab some gold paper. This is embossed, but you don't have to have embossed paper. You just need some gold paper. And we're going to create, I don't know what I was thinking. And we're going to create his beak. All right, so I'm going to grab my precision scissors. Now I have a couple of pairs of precision scissors because I couldn't leave the red ones. I had to have the red ones and the green ones. Those are new this year in case you aren't aware. All right, so I've got those. We'll come back to those in just a second. Let's go ahead and punch another of our citrus slices. This one we're going to punch from the other end. All right. You can see what I punched last time with it. That cute little chicken coop punch. Isn't that cute? Okay. Gonna stick that over there. Now we are going to come in here, and I want each of these little slices I'm going to take my scissors and just line them up with these outer slices and just keep cutting straight through. Okay? Same thing on this side. I'm going to line it up with the outer edge right there. See? And just cut straight through. Okay? Then I'm going to come along here and I'm going to cut just to make it easy. I'm just going to cut right along or right across each of those little pieces, little spokes from the citrus. That's going to give us our foot. So I'm going to do the same thing over here to this one. All right, what am I doing? This way. There we go. Okay. Then we're just going to cut off here, cut it off here, cut it off here. Okay, there's our other little foot. All right, and we need a couple of legs. And I think I'm going to need my trimmer because this is not even and that's going to bug me. So I'm just going to use my trimmer really quick and trim a couple of these. We have to start with a straight edge, and then we only need, let's see, I'm going to go just a bit beyond 1/8 of an inch. All right, so those two will be our legs, and we'll adjust them as we need. All right. Okay. Then, oh, let's go ahead and grab this. So our flame right here is going to be our beak. I'm going to start from this edge out this way. I'm not going to use the ruffly side. I'm going to use the straight side, but I want to kind of come out and turn. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to flip it over so I'm cutting from the same angle, come out and turn. Okay, and then we're just going to cut straight across to form his beak. Okay, so that's his beak. And then he needs eyes. So this is what's left from a project that I was doing recently. These are the little write-on strips. This is the wider of the two write-on strips. This is photo-safe paper that has adhesive on the back like a sticker. Okay, and it's cut here in lengths of like 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to just fold that together so that my bottom edge here at that fold is the same. And then this is fiddly cutting, and I'm sorry for that, but I really didn't have an option. So I'm going to go about halfway up. We'll see if these eyes are going to be too big for his head. They might be. But I'm just going to kind of cut an arch into that paper. Okay, and then that way I've got 2 even eyes. Okay, so now we're going to take his head and we are going to, hang on just a second here. We're going to take his beak and some repositionable adhesive. I'm going to put some repositionable adhesive on his beak. I'm going to grab, well, yeah, there they are. I have some tweezers here, which will help me. I'm going to place this so that that straight edge is roughly in the center of his face. Okay, so straight across, right in the middle of that circle. All right. Then I'm going to take the 2 eyes and I'm just going to peel those off. He might be a little bit big, guys. I don't know. Is that going to be too big? Might be. I'm not a good judge of these things. Should we make it a little smaller? Maybe we should make it a little smaller, just a little. Okay, I'm going to put it back on my paper so I can cut them both the same. All right, let's cut it just a little bit A little bit smaller. Not too much though, I don't think. Okay. Now getting him off the backing is going to be, because I cut the backing off. There we go. There's one. I'm going to put that even with the outer edge of his beak. Now I'll do this one. Oh, come on now, I had you. Come on. There we go. So for my friends in Canada who do not celebrate Thanksgiving at this time, I'm just wondering what you do for your Thanksgiving, because I know you have one, you just don't celebrate at the same time we do. So I would love it if you would comment and tell me what you typically do for your Thanksgiving. All right, now we're going to I'm going to use the fat end of my dual end pen, and I'm going to just make an eye. May look a little cross-eyed. Oh, bad. Okay. And one thing I didn't think about was he needs a wattle. We didn't make him a wattle. Well, I may have to figure that out at a later time, because for sure he needs one. Maybe he needs that little red spot in the middle. Let's do that while I'm thinking about it. And actually, I've already thrown them out, but I could have used, hold on a second, I'm having an epiphany, as my kids would say. Okay. I have an idea. I'm going to use my citrus punch and create some pieces that maybe we can use to create his wattle. Because every turkey worth his salt needs a wattle, right? Okay. Let's see what we can come up with here. So I just punched, again, the lamplight and the citrus punch again. I'm going to take the punch that comes out of the middle of the lamplight and this little piece is going to go right down in the middle for on his nose, on his beak. And then we're going to use these little teardrop shapes from the citrus punch to make a little wattle that's going to go right off the edge of his top of his nose. Sometimes things just come to me. This is one of those times. I don't know if this is going to look right, but close enough, I guess, huh? Does it look like a waddle? Maybe this one should be higher. Kind of more like that. There. I like that. I think that looks okay. Sort of respectable. What do you think? Not bad for paper. Okay. So there is our cute little guy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some repositionable adhesive to the bottom of these legs. And we'll put his feet on the end of his legs, his skinny legs. Most turkeys, I think, have skinny legs. Okay. Now, I believe we have all the components to put this guy together. So let me grab a base sheet here, and we are gonna work on assembling my little friend. And let's see what we think about our color choice. So we have him on green with a red and a blue feather. Or we have him on brown. I think I like the green. I like the green better. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to use the green side. So glad we all agree. All right. Now, before we get him put together, we're going to do just some a very basic pattern in the back, or on the top and the bottom. All right, and the edges. We're going to actually need a few more of these, but I had forgotten, so that's my fault. But we're going to get these put down first. Okay, so let's line up our paper on our grid. This is the base paper. We're lining up on the grid. And remember, our square is 1 3/4 of an inch. So we are going to place our first one right in the corner, and that's going to help us line up the rest of them. Okay, so we've got our first square there. We're going to go ahead and line up the ruler. Any ruler will do. All right, so that you can see where the next one is going to go. Okay, so we're going to go 1 3/4 inches. So we're at 1 3/4 inches here. So another inch, another inch, and then 3/4 of an inch would have us starting at this. Nope, that's not quite right. I measured wrong. So here's our inch, and here's our 1 3/4 inches. And I think I am just a little too close to the edge. So I'm just going to slide my ruler back just a skosh. There we go. That's much better. All right. Now, in the spaces in between these, you can there's 1 and there's 3/4. You can place photos in the spaces in between. Just use your square punch or your trimmer and trim your photos to 1 3/4 inches, and they will fit in between these decorative papers. Isn't that cool? So you can get a lot of pictures on this layout because of that. So let's see, 1 3/4 inches. This is hard to do because I'm not like right on top of it. And to allow you to see, I'm trying to back off and I'm not able to see where I need to put stuff. All right, and then we've got another one in the corner. Okay, for some reason I was thinking that that would be different. All right. Okay, so there's that row. Then we're going to do a row on the other side. So I'm just going to turn this around, make it easier so that I'm doing this all from the same angle. Okay. And we'll start this one in the corner again. This one needs to go in the corner. And by getting these lined up just right, it'll help us with our ruler. Because we can push that ruler right up to the edge of those papers, and then it'll stay in the right spot. Okay, so then we've got another one. And this will go right there. All right. So we'll need to do that on the other page as well, but I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. So right now I'm going to put my base page so that it's nice and centered. Okay. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of my center feather. My centered feather is going to be right. So if you're doing a single page, you're going to center this feather right in the middle of this page. I want to do 2-page layout. So I'm going to adjust mine so that the center of my feather is on the fourth 4 inches in. So it's centered on that 4-inch mark. All right. And I'm going to put it so that it's touching and as straight as I can make it. Then we're going to go ahead and add our other feathers, and our other feathers are going to go right up to the edge. So if they overlap down here, that's fine, but you want them to be as close to the edge here, and make sure that that arch is coming together. That's going to be the key right there, to make sure that the arch comes together. And you're going to do yellow and then a color, and then yellow and then a color, and then yellow and then the other color. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And I probably should have moved him over just a skosh more. All right, let's do that. I think we have enough time. We can do that, and it's not gonna cause a problem. That's what repositionable adhesive is for, right? All right, so we're gonna line him up underneath this first void at the top here, which I think I need to move this guy over. I think he's too close. He's only 1.5 inches, and he needs to be 1.25 inches. So we're gonna line him up right there. Let me adjust this guy. I had a feeling when I put him down that he was not in the right spot. It's going to be right about there. That may be slightly generous, but that's okay. It'll be all right. Okay, now I'm going to move this guy over. I'll move all of these over just a little. Okay. This one, we're going to put the feathers all on, and then we're going to trim it. So don't get too excited about the fact that we're going off the edge here. Okay, it'll all work out in the wash, as they say. And I probably didn't need to put all that adhesive on there just yet, but that's okay. It'll be all right. Let's grab this piece. I need to finish his tail on the other side, but we're gonna get this the way it ought to be first. Actually, I'm gonna place this the other side down. We'll take this and just put it edge to edge this way. All right. What did I goof up? Oh, there was supposed to be a yellow one there. Gotta watch me. Whose job was it to watch me? That's all right. We'll just scoot these over. Okay, that's feeling better. Definitely feeling better. Okay. But blue, gold, red, gold, blue, gold, red, gold, blue, gold. I needed a... There it is. The blue side was throwing me. You need this red one right here, this last side. I'm not gonna worry about this last yellow feather because we don't need that. Okay. All right, now his body in the pattern goes like this, but you can see his feathers don't accommodate, and we don't really have as much room either. So I'm going to turn his body short ways, and we're going to scooch these outer feathers in just a tiny bit so that they are underneath him. So I'm just going to overlap those. Maybe actually I'll overlap the gold and the red. Sorry. So we'll just kind of scooch those in and overlap them just a tiny bit. We'll do the same thing on this side so that he matches on both sides. All right, my other question for you while I'm fussing with this guy is, how many of you watch the parade Thanksgiving morning? You know which one I mean, the Macy's parade in New York City. when we lived in New York City. Oh, look, we can make him go the right direction now. He works. Fantastic. Okay, when we lived in New York City, I was always making Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't have like the time to play with going to the parade. I wish I had. I wish I had just taken a year off and, I don't know, we had leftovers or ate later or something like that. That would have been okay. But I honestly, all the stories that I heard from people, I'm not sure I really wanted to go that badly. But my husband was brave and he took our children, at least two of our children, to the parade. And they had to get up at, I don't know, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to leave by 5. They had to be there by sunrise pretty much in order to find a seat. And they found some pretty good seats right where the TV cameras were filming, right on the corner. Look at that cute little face. He turned out so cute. Okay, now let's finish our squares and cut some mats for this because we need to be able to put our pictures on here and to know where to put our pictures. So we're going to need a few more of these squares, but I'm not exactly sure how many more squares we're going to want. So we're going to add these 4 and then we'll figure it out. All right. Line up my page and then line this guy up. That works pretty good. Okay, then we're going to take this guy and go 1 3/4. And go 1 3/4. 1 3/4. Okay, and then this one, let's turn him around. Okay. Line him up. Line him up on my mat. That really helps visually for me to line him up on that mat. Then I can make the lines connect and see where they need to be straight. And there's 1 3/4 right there. Okay, let me get the scraps from this so that we can punch. I need at least 2 more and maybe a few more on the sides here if we decide to do the sides. Where's my square punch? There it is. The pattern I was following has squares all the way around it, but you know, that's okay. We can modify things. Not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. let's see how it looks just with the 2. And then we'll see if we need 2 more on either end. Okay, so 1 inch and 3/4 is going to be right there. And another 1 inch and 3/4 is going to be right there. Awesome. Okay. So let's take a look at our gobbler. Okay, so first of all, we need to go ahead and trim him down the middle, but I think I'm gonna just let's look at creating some mats. I'm gonna look at the papers that I have left. We can use the blue and the red, and we can create some mats. We can use some yellow, or we can just stick with the blue and the red. Let's see. These are both 6 inches. So let's go ahead and do 6x4 with these. Those will fit perfectly right there. Let's go ahead and do another 4 inches. And let's do some 4x4s. It's hard to know because we don't know exactly what pictures we're putting on here, but we'll want a picture of the food, a picture of the people. We'll want maybe a few pictures of more than that. So we've got those 2. We could do another small one here, a small one down here without covering him up too much. So let's do 3.5. Let's do 3.5 by 4.5. I don't know why, but that's not looking straight to me. Is that straight? It's straight. That's so funny. So funny how sometimes the patterns in the paper can play with our eyes. Okay. Let's rearrange these. Put the red one on the top and the blue one on the bottom. And then we'll do red on the bottom and overlap that border just a smidge. Then we can still see our turkey, and we've got 6 photos. So I like that. I think that works good. And it may seem like a lot of color right now, but once you have photos on these, it will tone down and it won't be as big a deal. So I'm just going to use my repositionable adhesive and go ahead and place these on. That way, if I need to, I can move them, but I can also just leave them right where they are. And fasten them down better when I have my photos. Okay, so these are going down about a 1/2 inch in from the edge and 1/8 of an inch from the border, which is giving me 1/4 of an inch, almost 1/4 of an inch in between the photos in the center here. Okay, so now we just need a couple of embellishments, and our turkey will be good to go and ready for our all of our goodies. So there are some really fun laser borders. And so if you don't want to mess with these squares down here, you could just use these cute little laser borders and put them underneath your turkey. Isn't this one pretty? I just think that one's so pretty. Or these leaf ones are super pretty to put underneath him. Right. And you could extend the leaves out if there are not as many, or not, quite as many. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do this busy one because we've got a lot going on this page, but I am going to do this one, I think, and put that one kind of centered underneath him, and that way we have a little bit more of a grounding going on over here. Okay, I don't want to cover his feet up too much, so I'm going to scooch that all the way to the edge and put that down. And then we'll just measure real quick. We need about 3 3/4 of an inch. To add on to that, right? 3 3/3. Just going to be right about here. So I'm just going to go ahead and carry this, cut this leaf as if it were meant to be that way. And then we can add it on here and it'll look as natural as possible, like it was supposed to be this way. Oop, I've just run out. Let me grab my big gun. This guy we're going to tuck underneath. Doesn't quite go to the end, but that's okay. And we'll have the same kind of thing over here. So we'll lift up these leaves, tuck that one under. They're about the same length from getting to the very edge, so if that works. All right, so we've got our nice boundary. Now, if you have the Grateful Harvest hunting embellishments, you have some a little bit more lifelike turkeys. We are not hunters in my house. My dad was a target shooter, but not a hunter. And so most of these are not going to get used. But we could use the turkey. We could use the thrill of the hunt. Something like that. That would be, I think, good for Thanksgiving. Maybe because we built our own turkey, we won't put the realistic one on there, because then it sort of takes all of his dignity away. We'll put that over there. Maybe we'll use the thrill of the hunt. Let's see what's in the harvesting embellishments that maybe we can add on here. I don't know if any of these will work. Harvests and hay rides. There's a huge combine. That would work. That was cute. Reap what you sow. Happy harvest. Here's some hay. We could use that. We got more hay and farm equipment, a nice tractor. So the tractor would be kind of cool, but not really work with our size of our turkey. So we could do happy harvest and put that up there, and do some of our bushels of fun down here. Let's see what we've got in the stickers that we could add. It's a nice wheelbarrow, but the wheelbarrow would be right on there, unless we put it over here. Maybe we could put it over here. Probably ought to pop him up off of the base. I've got a little piece there that's still stuck in my sticker. Come on now, get off there. You would think with nails that I'd be able to get things like that more easily. Nope. Okay. Let's grab some foam squares and just pop this guy up. I don't know if this foam square will fit, and I don't really I'm being lazy. I don't really want to cut it. Nope, I'm going to need to cut it, because it's going to be way too narrow. So we're just going to cut it in half. So that we can place that little bitty piece right there and right here. Keep that lifted up. These handles are way too narrow though, so we're not going to worry about those. But I am going to grab my powder and dust this guy so that the sticky parts that are not covered with the foam square don't stick down, including these handles right here. Okay, there we go. Don't have any, well, there are a couple of little pumpkins, but not very many that we could use. So that lifts that up so we can put a sticker down behind it also. And then we've got these little pumpkins, which could go down with it. probably ought to pop those up too. Or maybe we ought to put these up here with our Happy Harvest. Happy Harvest. We'll add a couple of leaves to the Happy Harvest. Just along this lower part. Stay there. Okay. Uh-oh. That leaf did not want to stick to the little bit of sticker. Stay there. No, stay there. He's not listening to me, guys. Stay there. There. That leaf too. Okay, let's add a little bit of adhesive to the back of this. I'm not going to pop this up necessarily. Oh, that's all used up. I don't know why I left it sitting there. That's crazy. All right. This guy. Oh no, he's got to be popped up. My bad. Okay. Because he's sitting so far down. Or we could put him over here and just make him a little bit more a part of our turkey. Put him right there. What do we think? I don't often put my titles on the second page. I usually put them on that page, but I kind of like that. And what do we think? I think I'm going to go with that. I think. What if we put a couple of acorns down here by our wagon? Almost don't see them because of the leaves, but that's okay. All right. Well, I need to adhere these down over here. I just tucked that pumpkin right behind my border there, just because. Okay, now we still need to cut this apart, but that's all we need to do, really. Well, we need to push this guy down so he stays also. So I'm going to place this guy all the way in here so that I can cut those borders apart and cut the feathers apart. So if you aren't sure or aren't confident you're lined up correctly, pull the sight guides out from the top and bottom of your trimmer and you'll be able to tell if the blade's going to be in the right place. You can also look right here at this little arrow. That arrow is going to be right where your blade goes. All right, so there we go with our 2 pages for our Happy Harvest and Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a beautiful or had a beautiful Thanksgiving, and I hope that the remainder of your holidays this season are full of love and warmth. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy your day. Gobble, gobble.